Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something we all face at some point, peer pressure. Whether you're learning English and want to sound a bit more assertive, or you just need a quick refresher on how to set some rock-solid boundaries, you are absolutely in the right place. To master this, we're actually going to use a classic story as our guide. Brother Bears run in with a neighborhood bully too tall and the legendary, or maybe infamous, Double Dare. So, by following Brother Bear's journey, we're going to figure out exactly how to handle these sticky situations and walk away with 10 seriously practical English phrases you can use in the real world. Let's get into it.
Okay, here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with facing the double dare, then move on to handling the chicken insult, facing the consequences, saying no to bullies, and finally, a quick review of all 10 boundary phrases.
Section 1. Facing the double dare, the escalation of peer pressure.
So the story kicks off when Brother Bear runs into Too Tall and his gang. Now, peer pressure rarely just starts at a level 10, right? Notice how it kind of creeps up here. Step 1 is just a seemingly innocent suggestion. Let's go into Farmer Ben's watermelon patch. Step 2 steps it up to a dare. This is a direct challenge to your courage, like, I dare you to take a watermelon. And well, when that doesn't work, we hit Step 3, the absolute climax of the pressure, the double dare.
But before we learn how to fight it, we really need to nail down what a double dare actually is. Basically, it's an escalation of a standard dare. It's this cultural slang term meant to intensely pressure someone into doing something dangerous or forbidden. And the hidden trap here? The double dare completely implies that you're cowardly or weak if you refuse. It's a direct attack on your ego. So how do we verbally defend against this kind of thing? Here's your very first practical boundary phrase. I'm not doing that. Notice how beautifully simple and direct that is? You absolutely don't need some long, complicated excuse. When someone challenges you to do something you know is wrong, you can just drop this phrase in a really strong, resolute tone. Seriously, say it in your head right now. I'm not doing that.
Moving on, phrase number 2 gives you another fantastic option. That's a bad idea. I actually really love this one because it's completely objective. You aren't making things deeply personal, and you aren't attacking the other person directly at all. You're simply deflecting their initial suggestion by stating a plain fact. Sneaking into Farmer Ben's patch? That's a bad idea.
But you know what happens when they push harder and drop the actual double dare? Well, that brings us to phrase number 3. I don't have to prove anything to you. This is literally the ultimate response to a double dare. It just shatters the bully's logic. They want you to think that refusing makes you look weak. But this phrase, it shows you're so confident in yourself that you totally don't need their approval anyway.
Section 2. Handling the chicken insult. Deflecting slang and taunts. Now, back in our story, when the double dare doesn't immediately work on Brother Bear, Too Tall switches up his strategy and pulls out a classic playground taunt. He calls Brother Bear a chicken. Now, this specific insult is totally designed to manipulate pride. In English slang, calling someone a chicken means you're calling them a coward, someone who's afraid to take risks. And bullies use this all the time. Because let's face it, nobody wants to be seen as fearful. They're hoping you'll get mad and yell, I'm not a chicken, I'll prove it. But we're going to learn how to completely disarm that tactic.
Phrase number 4 is incredibly powerful for this exact moment. Call me what you want, I'm still not doing it. This just totally disarms the bully because it shows absolute indifference to the chicken label. You're basically telling them that their words have absolutely zero power over what you decide to do. Or you can try phrase number 5, which flips the script entirely. I'm smart enough to say no. Think about how brilliant this is. The bullies are desperately trying to frame your refusal as cowardice. But by using this phrase, you're totally reframing it as an act of high intelligence. You aren't scared, you're just way too smart to fall for their foolish trap. Now, if you want to be incredibly assertive, you can break out phrase number 6. Peer pressure doesn't work on me. This is what you might call a meta response. You're directly calling out the psychological trick they're trying to play, and you're pointing out that it is completely failing. Trust me, bullies really hate it when you see right through their tactics.
Section 3. Facing the consequences. Getting caught by Farmer Ben.
Unfortunately for Brother Bear, he doesn't use these phrases right away. He ends up caving to the pressure, sneaks into the patch, takes a watermelon, and yep, he gets caught by Farmer Ben. Now, when you make a mistake, how you communicate in the aftermath is incredibly important. The immediate, kind of childish instinct is to make an excuse, right? Like, Too Tall made me do it. But the mature way of owning your actions looks more like this. I chose to listen to them. So let's look at the best phrases to use when you've been caught crossing a line.
Phrase number 7 is your ultimate go-to here. I made a mistake and I'm sorry. It's the perfect no-nonsense apology, no buts attached. You aren't saying, I'm sorry, but they pressured me. You're just simply owning the error. When you realize you've crossed a boundary, this phrase shows immediate, mature accountability.
And phrase number 8 is a highly advanced, really respectful sentence. I take full responsibility for my actions. If you use this with figures of authority, like Farmer Ben, or maybe a teacher or a boss, it immediately starts to rebuild trust. It shows deep maturity and a crystal clear understanding of your own agency.
Section 4. Saying no to bullies, setting the final boundary. Moving to the climax of the story. Brother Bear has faced the consequences, and he's definitely learned his lesson. But now, he has to go back out there and finally stand his ground against Too Tall's gang so this never happens again. Before we get to the actual words, we need to talk about the physical, nonverbal communication required to make these English phrases actually work. You absolutely need firm posture. Stand up straight. You need direct eye contact. Do not look at the ground. And you need a clear, unwavering voice, because if you mumble, the bullies simply won't believe you.
So, deliver phrase number 9 with that strong posture. Back off, I'm done playing your games. You really want to use an intimidating, resolute tone here. Remember, this isn't a discussion, and it's definitely not a debate. This phrase shows exactly how to draw a permanent line in the sand.
And finally, phrase number 10. No means no. You know, sometimes the shortest, most universal English phrase is literally the most powerful one of the whole bunch. You don't need to explain yourself at all, you just need to be crystal clear. And if they ask again, you just repeat it. No means no.
Section 5. Review 10 boundary phrases, your toolkit for peer pressure.
Understanding the theory behind peer pressure is great, but it really isn't enough. You need the actual vocabulary to stop it in its tracks. We've traced Brother Bear's journey all the way from facing the double dare to dealing with the chicken insult, facing the consequences, and finally standing tall. So here are all 10 phrases we covered today. I highly encourage you to take a screenshot of this list right now so you have it. Brother Bear's story gave us the perfect context for each one. The first 3 deflect that initial dare. Phrases 4 through 6 completely neutralize insults and manipulation. 7 and 8 show mature accountability. And phrases 9 and 10, they set those hard, unbreakable boundaries.
So, I want to leave you with a direct challenge right here on this final slide. Which of these 10 phrases will you use the next time you feel pressured? Whether it's at school, at work, or even just with acquaintances who are pushing you a little too far, you now have the exact English vocabulary to stand your ground. Pick your favorite phrase from the list, practice saying it out loud with really strong body language, and just be ready to use it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, you are always smart enough to say no.